Hello and welcome to my collection. Does that look like a pumpkin? It does, but it's not. It's a pumpkin cake. How would you like to be able to make this cake? The answer is you can. You just need determination and a little bit of time. And trust me, if I can make this cake in my kitchen, you can definitely make it in yours. So I'm going to start by preparing the dry ingredients first. In this bowl of a stand mixer, I'm going to whisk together the flour. In this cup, I have already combined the baking powder, baking soda, the nutmeg, allspice, ginger, and cinnamon. And I'm adding a sprinkle of salt. Whisk everything and then attach the bowl to the mixer and place the shield on, of course, and run the mixer on a low speed just for about 30 seconds or so to make sure that all the ingredients are well combined. And now I'm going to add the butter. I have a stick and a half of butter here. The butter has softened already, but I'm not going to put the entire thing at once. I'm going to cut in small pieces and add it gradually. Oops, I forgot the sugar. I should have put the sugar in first, but not a big deal. I can add it right away right now. And here I have a cup of sugar that is brown sugar, and then I have granulated sugar as well, 1 cup. So mix the entire thing together until it resembles a coarse sand. I'm going to let the mixer run for about 2 minutes on low-medium speed, and in that time I'm going to work on the wet ingredients. In this mixing bowl here I have 4 eggs at room temperature. To that I'm going to add oil, buttermilk, pumpkin puree, and vanilla. Whisk everything until well combined, and let's check on the dry ingredients. And like I said, after about 2 minutes of mixing here, my dry ingredients resemble coarse sand, as you can see. Now it's time to add half of the wet ingredients. So whatever I mix in that mixing bowl, half of it is going to go inside. I'm going to mix everything here on a low speed. I think everything is nicely incorporated. Then I'll add the other half and mix very well. And then everything is ready to go into my baking pan and go in the oven to be baked. The batter looks and smells delicious. So I'm done mixing it. My baking pan is pre-sprayed already. I'm going to pour the entire content into the baking pan and in the oven it goes. Time's up! My cake is done. I've checked it with a toothpick and the toothpick comes out clean. So I'm going to let it cool off in the pan here for about 10 minutes. After that, I'm going to place it on the rack and allow it to cool completely. I'm going to cream together 1 stick of butter and equal amount of cream cheese, basically half of that box that you saw there. I'm going to mix it for a couple of minutes until the entire mixture becomes light in color, as you can see right now. Now it's safe to add 1 pound of powdered sugar, basically half of the bag that you see here. I'm going to add also 1 tablespoon of vanilla, 1 tablespoon of heavy cream, and a pinch of salt. Then mix it for a couple of minutes until everything is nice and smooth, as you can see. Don't forget to stop and scrape the sides of the bowl. Then I'm going to transfer everything into this piping bag. One way to fill up that pastry bag without creating a mess is to use a tall glass. So what I did over here, I put the pastry bag in the glass. I put the sides of the pastry bag over the glass, and then I'm filling up the part that's into the glass first. As that part gets filled up, then I lift up the sides of the pastry bag, and then I continue filling up that bag with the remaining content. I've tried other ways, but I always end up making a mess, so I stick to the glass method. I'm going to twist the top a little bit and then set it aside while I'm working on the buttercream. For the orange buttercream frosting, I'm going to start by creaming 4 sticks of butter. My butter is at room temperature already, it's pretty soft. To that I'm going to add 1.5 pounds of powdered sugar, and then while that's mixing on low speed, I'm going to work on creating the color. In this cup here I have about 1/4 of a cup of heavy cream, but you can also use milk if you don't have heavy cream. Then I put the food coloring, and I ended up putting about 15 drops of orange, about 2 drops brown, and 2 drops of yellow in total until I was happy with the color. Then the entire food coloring will go into the buttercream mixture here and mix it really well, and then you're ready to decorate the cake. Color looks beautiful. There is one more thing I have to do before I add the cream cheese frosting. I have to cut the bottom of the cake inward a little bit to give a little roundness to the cake to resemble a pumpkin. My camera is situated at an angle here so you can't really see, but I'm going to show you when I'm done. Hope you can see what I did. I just cut the sides a little bit inward. And now I'm going to slice the entire cake in half before I add the cream cheese, and after that it will go in the freezer for about 10-15 minutes, then take it out and the fun begins. It's time to decorate. I'm going to crumb coat the cake with a thin layer of frosting, and then it will go in the freezer. Taking it out, and then I'm adding in the center there some jelly beans, just to resemble pumpkin seeds. As the pumpkin has those seeds inside, I'm trying to make it fun for the kids. And then I'm covering that area with frosting, and it will go back in the freezer. So on this part, on the last part of decoration, it will be a lot of going in and out of the freezer, because what happens, the frosting melts so easily, so I have to put it in the freezer and take it out, put gloves on, and now I'm rubbing it with the gloves to make it smooth. And then my hands are warm, so the butter begins to melt very fast, so I have to put it back in the freezer for 5-10 minutes, take it out, add a little bit more. I'm going to use this piping bag to add these ridges here on the pumpkin, and then I'm going to place it back in the freezer for about 10 minutes and take it out and try to make it as natural as possible. Now this process, it took me a long time. For the entire decoration of the orange buttercream frosting, it took me over 2 hours, only because I have to place it in the freezer, take it out, place it in the freezer again. So one thing you should be careful when you work with the frosting and try to smoothen off that frosting. Be sure the gloves you're using are the right size, because I had some gloves here that were a little bit big for me, and as you can see, I'm dragging the glove over the frosting, but it's okay. For the next part, I'm going to use a more appropriate size. So with my finger, I'm gently going around those ridges, make it as smooth as possible to look as real as I can. And back in the freezer it goes. And now, of course, I changed my gloves to a proper size, and I'm smoothing off as much as I can. As the butter melts, because my hands are warm, you can see that it's beginning to look a little bit shiny too. So it makes it even more real looking. And again, like I said, it's going to go back in the freezer, take it out. I'm not going to bore you with every single step because you'll be here for 2 hours watching me. It's interesting. The closer it became to looking like a real pumpkin, the pickier I got. Every single imperfection that I saw, I had to smoothen off and make it look really, really good. And eventually, like I said, after a few hours, I was happy with the result. So once I'm done with the pumpkin, back in the freezer a little bit, the last part, and then I'm going to clean up the cake board that you see on the bottom. So on the bottom I got some of the frosting, of course, and now I'm using a little knife and I'm cleaning up that cake board really well. And in the last minute, I decided to create some grass for my pumpkin. So what I did, I took this grass tip, a couple of spoons of sugar, a little bit of butter, and a few drops of milk. I mixed it, colored it green, and then with that grass tip, I went underneath the pumpkin. And as I was placing underneath, come forward, I was pulling the bag to let the grass come out. And as the last thing, I'm going to cut the end of the churro, put it on top of the pumpkin, just to look like a stem. And here is my pumpkin. It looks so real. Everybody thought it was a real pumpkin. It's beautiful. I'm very happy with the result. It was tiring, but worth it. And here it is. If I cut it, that's the treasure that you see inside. So what do you think? Ready to make it? Well, if you do, let me know how it comes out. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks for watching. Enjoy.